Regular meeting Tuesday, April 11th, 7 o'clock, 90 Center Town Center agenda is called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Larry Brown. Here. Trustee Wilson. Here. Trustee Payton.
Here.
Trustee Griffin.
Present.
Trustee Boudette. I'm here. Trustee Oscar Brown. Mayor Cummings.
Present. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Approval of minutes for the special meeting, because I have, the minutes I have is the only one for the special meeting? Okay, the 28th of March. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Boudette, second. Second by trustee Larry Brown. Questions, concerns, comments, corrections? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Larry Brown. Trustee Wilson. Abstain. Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin. Trustee Boudette.
Aye.
Trustee Oscar Brown.
Not here.
Mayor Cummings.
I wasn't here, I abstained. Okay, are there any current other minutes for the regular meeting?
No, at this time, the only ones were for the special meeting, March 28th.
Okay. General public? Someone has a sign-in sheet?
This one up there, but they didn't bring it up, I guess. My name is number one.
Excuse me, is there a sign-in sheet there?
It's a regular sheet of paper, so it doesn't look like the one we usually sign in on.
Okay.
That's maybe why people overlooked it.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Taylor.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I noticed on tonight's agenda for F1B, you have down here resolution approving Village of University Park policy on public comment at village board meetings. At the last board meeting, I addressed this issue, and two of the suggestions that I made, although I didn't get any feedback on it, but I did think you would take into consideration two of the suggestions I made. One was that you would make sure that the residents would have an opportunity to preview whatever this code of conduct was you were putting together for us to abide by. Second was that, because it does say that it's related to the public, that the public would have opportunity to participate in putting this together and composing this. So I didn't get a response to that. So for me, when I look at this and see that you are wanting to approve this, I really don't feel that you can approve something. You may be able to, but I don't think it's, let me put it like this, best practices to approve something that is involving your public like this, and there has not really been an opportunity for public to either view it or either give input to the situation. So perhaps you can give me some more dialogue on that, and maybe something occurred that I did not know about. Also, as far as resource, I'm wondering what resource you used in putting together this, this policy for the public, what documents you utilize, and are we in compliance basically, and what's going on with surrounding communities when you decided to put together this policy. The other thing for IHS, I just wanted some more clarification as far as that contract, the exact amount of the contract, and for that specific period of time it lasts. think I was a little confused last time. I just want to make sure I got the numbers correct. And the last thing, the police department, I didn't know if we're going to increase our number of police we have in our department. What is the goal for that? Because personally, for me, I'm tired of hearing the shooting. Maybe we can get a better handle on that if we had more manpower. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to stay here in case somebody wants to respond, especially to F1B, before we get to F1B and you actually start taking a vote on that without actually answering that question.
Right, unfortunately, our village, unfortunately, as far as that, excuse me, our village clerk was working on that, and she would be more up to date as far as responding to you on it.
Could I answer
So
that?
And at this time, I can ask our village manager, do you have any input as far as what the clerk can put on there?
What the clerk has stated before is that the purpose of, it's all in our standing rules, and it's a board decision on what needs to be done. If the board chooses to conduct a workshop a second time and invite the public back, that can be done. It was done the first time, and that's your call, Mayor, if you want to conduct that workshop and invite the public out and get their input on public comments and how to get that ordinance resolved.
Well, I would think that that would be more healthy, to have a workshop.
I think that would be best practices. Excuse me,
I would
I
recommend that
apologize.
highly, that we do a workshop on that, and I will make that statement during that section of the board agenda, that people have an input on that and see how we can all work together as a whole.
Could I say
That
something?
makes it just as soon as I finish talking. And that way it'll be more conducive to everyone, and everyone can be pleased, hopefully. Trustee?
We had a period like we did now. I gave a report, and all the board members was here. I told you I went to Frankfurt and I went to Orland Park. I gave a synopsis, a breakdown of what they did, how they ran their board meetings, what they did. I gave a report on that. A lot of the board members seemed pleased, and if I recall, I believe you were here at that meeting also.
Were you speaking
So
to
that's
me?
what-
I'm sorry. Were you speaking to me saying I was here? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You were here also, I believe. And I gave a report, what they did, how they did their reports, how they did their board meetings, what they did. I have a breakdown, and I gave it out, passed it out to the board members at the time. So I did go and look at other communities. It wasn't online. It was going actually to the community, talking to the village managers of both townships, of both towns, and I gave a report on that. So maybe that's what she's using, I don't know, but I did give a report on that incident, and about that matter, so that's what I did.
Thank you for your report, but a report and a workshop are two different things, and I know you know that. I'm not trying to be funny. You had a
We had a workshop also on that, yes,
So
we
in the
did.
workshop, you explained that you will be using those particular policy and procedures to incorporate those into what we will be doing here. That was stated and clarified.
It wasn't actually agreed upon, and it was just a statement, as he said, and the people just, it was a lot back and forth, back and forth. So I don't
Therefore, it was
think
unclear, Mayor.
conclusive. I
Therefore,
don't think
clarity
it was a
needs
lot
to
of-
be coming forth.
Right, so I don't think it was really conclusive as far where we really stood with it, and I think this laid on the side, truthfully. So that's something that we could revisit. It's not not a done deal. I don't think it's something written in stone.
I think for the sake of the residents and best practices, once again, that you should be restated, and maybe residents will be more willing to abide. When you understand something, you become a better stakeholder. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bailey, is that who? Bailey?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So today I've come to talk with you about something that I'm doing today at this year at my school right now. We're doing exhibition. It's for all the fifth graders at CSK to talk about certain different topics and take action and do different things. So I've come to you today to talk about a project that we are trying to ask other people to donate to a foundation. It is called the Give and Limb Foundation. And
The what is it? I'm sorry. Get the mic.
The Give and Limb
Okay.
Foundation. And I just came to ask today, well, my partner unfortunately he didn't make it. But I came to Ashby today to donate to the organization, and I'm asking all the people that came today, and I have flyers so they know.
Okay. And you are what school?
Coretta Scott King magazine.
Coretta Scott King? Okay. You have it, you can approach us. Okay, I'll pass it to this. Young man, excuse me, I'll give it to them, you can give it out to the people in the audience. That's what I said. I applaud you in your efforts, and hopefully people will contact, and, okay, I see his website is here that we can make the donation. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, that's the end. Does anyone else like to speak that wasn't able to sign in? Okay. All right, hearing none. Action items, unfinished business. The first, second, and third reading ordinance authorizing acting village manager and staff to declare surplus personnel property items and authorize the disposal of the surplus items.
So moved.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Rudez, second by trustee Griffin. Questions, concerns, comments? Trustee Wilson?
What happens to the funds that are received from surplus sales?
One is the funds will go towards new purchases to offset some of the cost of new purchases to replace what we're getting rid of.
Will that dollar amount be shared with the board at
Oh
some
yeah,
point?
we can't sell until you approve if it's for sale, the things that are for sale. You have to approve what's for sale,
Oh,
you know.
I don't know. That's why I was asking questions.
Right.
Thanks.
It's the ones that we have here, attachments, these are the only ones that you're selling.
Not
correct?
everything there is, not everything there works, so some may just be scrapped, but the vehicles, we will look to try to trade in or sell outright.
Yeah.
Trustee Wilson, it'll be treated just like they did with the fire engine. First, you give us the permission to replace it, and then it has to come back before the board saying, these are the items that are being replaced and the cost associated. It'll be the same type of process as we did with the fire trucks.
Okay, here it says here, the ones there it says replace. You got my truck on here. I didn't know about that.
Man, we spoke a while ago
Yeah, it is in
regarding about your truck.
condition, yeah, but so which yeah, replace out.
But the ones that are out that say replaced are on the road now,
Yeah.
on its last leg. They can't be replaced till we dispose of until we replace them.
So does replace mean buy another vehicle?
For that, yes, we need to replace it. For instance, the fire chief's vehicle engine is dead. We need to replace that.
Okay, what we need and what we're gonna do is two different things, correct? Because I'm not gonna replace.
Well, by ordinance, we have to put a vehicle back in the fire department.
Okay, not by mine, but okay, I'll work something else out.
Okay.
It comes to me, okay? Okay, and when that money does, or whatever decisions are going to happen on that, I would like to make sure whoever sold them, the prices come here, and then we are earmarking that money to make sure it stays where it's supposed to be.
Well, what will happen is I will go before Ford or whatever company and get estimates on trade-ins, and then I will bring it back to you what the process is.
Okay, appreciate that. Excuse me. Well, any other questions, concerns, comments? Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, just one last question. This ordinance is for disposal of surplus items. So how are two vehicles that are currently being used considered surplus if they're still in use? Wouldn't we come
The
up
chief's
with
truck, I'm sorry, go ahead.
wouldn't we take those two currently being used and do another policy or agenda item for those and just replace those? Because those are not surplus, right?
Well, right now, the fire department's truck is not in operation, so he's driving his personal vehicle. So that needs to be replaced. The mayor's truck, over time with work, it doesn't cost us to pay to have things fixed on that truck. So we need to replace it. So that's what I mean by replace. So now with Ford, when we go back to Ford, just like any other car, they'll give me a trade-in deal on it, and I'll bring the numbers back to you. Her car is the only vehicle that is running now. Everything else that needs to be replaced, the two 81, 2008, and 2007, they have been sitting in the back of the police department for quite a few years, I think. The red Fire Taurus is an 04. That has been in the back of Public Works for years. There is also the sister truck to the mayor's that used to be IT's that is sitting in the back for years also. Those trucks don't run.
I get the ones that we're scrapping out. They
Right.
don't work, we're gonna scrap them out and they're considered surplus.
Correct.
For the chief's, fire chief's truck, it doesn't work, so it's gonna be scrapped out and it doesn't work, it's gonna be scrapped out or we're gonna trade it in.
Well, that's the same term, it's scrapped out. I'm going to look to trade that truck in.
No. Okay.
So it
Scrap it
goes
out
on
and
our
sell
scrap surplus.
Scrapping is not the same thing as trading in.
We get paid for scrap, yes.
So that's correct. So
Right.
that will come back to the department. However, these two trucks his truck that you say you're gonna try to trade in, no money's coming back from that. So it's not surplus.
If we get a trade-in, it is surplus. It'll go towards our new purchase.
And right now you don't know if it's scrap or if it's worthy of being traded in.
Right, I'm looking for your approval to go to them now
To find out
to
if it's
find
scrap.
out, correct.
Any others? Roll call.
Trustee Barry Brown. Trustee Wilson. Both sides. Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Both sides.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Both sides.
Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Mayor Kelly.
Aye. Resolution number. Thank you. Next item is F1B, resolution approving Village of University Park policy on public comments and village board meetings. Maximum to,
I like to move the table.
roll call please to table.
Trustee Barry Brown. Trustee Wilson. Aye. Trustee Payton.
Nay.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes no.
Trustee Gutierrez.
Votes no.
Trustee Oscar Brown.
Pardon?
Mayor Kelly.
Aye. Okay. So it failed. The table, so it's up for discussion. The resolution to approve the Village Park, excuse me, on the public comments of those meetings, board meetings. For your understanding, everyone, it's adopting for your reading and understanding the presentation of the consideration or approval of resolution adopting the policy for public comments. This resolution was tabled for workshop on November 15th. Those suggested changes were incorporated in this revision policy in the meeting held 22nd of November 16. However, the vote for approval was tied and one absent. Therefore, the policy is being represented tonight for your approval. I really wish